Rami, congratulations on Bohemian Rhapsody. I have to say, I left this film with just a big beam on my face.
Oh, great. Then that's the response we're looking for. It's a very emotional film, but it's also a very uplifting film. And we just want to honor the man, celebrate his life, and tell every aspect of it, but mostly share in the joy that is Freddie Mercury.
That's just it. That's just it. Upon being cast, in this legendary, iconic role that is Freddie Mercury, what was the very first thing that came to your mind that you wanted to do to prepare for the role?
I think it was very daunting because you think of him as superhuman. I mean, he gets on stage with a cape and a crown, and he does things that no mere mortal can do. So I had to bring him down to earth and think of him rather as Farouk Bulsara, and someone who was deeply conflicted about who he was as a young man, trying to identify himself, a young immigrant from a family that came from Zanzibar. He studied in India, struggling with his sexuality, and all of this turmoil going on inside of him was something that eventually exhausted itself on stage and became something he could share with everyone. It's kind of a marvel. I think he's a revolutionary for letting everyone feel they could be their most authentic selves.
That's just it. How did you manage that balance between both bringing Freddie Mercury to life but not kind of making it like a gimmicky imitation either?
I was very cognizant of that from the very beginning, is that I just didn't want it to be a mimicry or an imitation. I thought he's the most spontaneous human being I've ever come across, and that's how I would have to be. So I thought, I'm never going to tell the camera operators where I'm going on stage. I'm just going to try to fly by the seat of my pants every day and make it as unique, I hope, an experience as it was watching him. Of course, I'm never going to compare myself, but I just wanted the same type of spontaneity, not only on stage, but in every scene, dramatic scenes, comedic scenes, the making of these phenomenal songs.
Yeah.
I just wanted them to feel like they were happening as if it was right now at this very moment.
You actually touched on talking about, the fact that there's comedy in this, musicality and everything. There are so many different aspects of the role. There's the physicality, getting into the shape of Freddie Mercury, and then there's performing the songs, and there's the emotional intensity as well. What kind of stands out for you as the most challenging aspect of the role?
The most challenging was doing the Live Aid sequence at the end. It's what we started out with, and I began wanting to capture the spontaneity. I wanted to learn about him. I watched all the archival footage. I listened to every radio interview. I would listen to his mother talk, his sister talk. I listened to Brian May, Roger Taylor, and I had to stop all of that at some point and just watch and actually essentially try to imitate and impersonate what he was doing. And fortunately, I brought myself to that, but that was one thing we did for 22 minutes. We recreated that concert, and you get a smaller edited version in the film, but we're just cutting together the entire version right now for people to see after this film comes out.
I really loved it. I thought it was a fantastic finale. I was hoping to ask you as well, Rami, about the teeth, because they're absolutely mad looking in this movie. Like how long did it take to get those done, and were you wearing them like in between scenes and stuff?
Well, the first thing I thought when I was told I might have this role is I needed those teeth. And I knew that there was no way my teeth were going to look like his, and I needed a set of false teeth. If you ever see Freddie Mercury's smile, you would be astounded by how large his teeth are. And as a child, he was ridiculed and called Bucky. And as soon as I put those teeth in, I felt quite insecure. I ended up compensating by, holding my stature up a certain way and, having a little bit more elegance and formality to myself. And I think Freddie did the same. So it just informed so much of Freddie to me by having those teeth.
So I just have to wrap up now, Rami. My very last question for you. You've probably answered 100 times today, what's your favourite Queen song? But I was hoping to ask, what's actually your favourite Queen lyric?
Freddie has a beautiful lyric. He says, it's called, "You Take My Breath Away." He says, Every step that you take, every move that you make is a whisper in my ear. I think that's gorgeous. And I'll give you one more thing since you came from Ireland. One of my favorite days was working with Leech
Yes.
and Aidan Gillen, who are two phenomenal, tremendous actors. And I got to do a scene with them where I barely spoke. And I would often get lost in what was happening between the two of them. And at one point, Alan asked me, at the very end of the scene, he says, do you want me to take you home? And I answered, anywhere but home. And that was my version of an Irish accent because I had been listening to the two of them so much. I had lost the British for a second. My dialect coach came running in. He says, you stay away from those two boys.
Well, I think that's a fantastic note to leave it on. Thank you so much again, Rami.
Pleasure.
You're a legend, Fred.
We're all legends.